Danielle, I overheard the new girl Jessica saying that you eat too many cookies and you're gross.
I thought she was nice.
You should stay away from her. You should just hang out with me. Oh, hey, Jessica.
Hi.
Listen, a word of advice. Don't play with Danielle because she says she doesn't like you because you're new.
Oh, but she doesn't even know me.
Don't worry about it. You can play with me.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe.
And I'm Mary.
And we're Book Buds.
And today we're going to talk about the book Because of Mr. Terupt by Buyea. This book was such an unexpected joy for me, and I want Joe to read the jacket cover a minute before I tell you about my impressions of the book. Can you read it?
Okay. It's the start of 5th grade for 7 kids at Snow Hill School. There's Jessica, the new girl, smart and perceptive, who's having a hard time fitting in. Alexia, a bully. Your friend 1 second, your enemy the next. Peter, class prankster and troublemaker. Luke, the brain. Danielle, who never stands up for herself. Shy Anna, whose home situation makes her an outcast. And Jeffrey, who hates school. Only Mr. Terupt, their new and energetic teacher, seems to know how to deal with them all. He makes the classroom a fun place, even if he doesn't let them get away with much, until the snowy winter day when an accident changes everything and everyone. Whoa.
So I read this book because my kids both read it in 5th grade.
Okay.
And so my daughter read it 3 years ago and said, Mom, this book is so great. You know, okay, good, honey. Okay. I didn't think to read it. So my son just read it and he's like, Mom, you really need to read this book because there's 3 more and I want to read them together. So he's like, you need to know the first book, like where it started off. So I was like, all right, I will, read any book you want me to read together with you. So it forced me to read this book. And this book is maybe like about 260 pages in the version that I read. So it wasn't much of a commitment. I loved this book. It was so cute. It was such a great book for 5th graders to be reading. And honestly, for any adult who previously was a child. Like,
oh, only those adults. Okay.
Right. Only those adults. So the kids each had their own personalities. They had their own difficulties. They had struggles at home that would affect like their personality in the classroom. In our scene, I was this bratty bully who was like pitting the kids against each other for no reason, just to be able to get people in my corner and not have, not be excluded from things because my home life wasn't so happy, So Mr. Terupt was a new teacher and he wasn't super strict, but he was firm. And the kids were kind of like, we like him a lot. Why doesn't he let us do everything we want? He doesn't let us totally get away with things. But the way he would go about his redirections was kind of like gentle and unique, And one day he pulled this bully out into the hallway because it was just too much what he saw that she was doing. And he really said to her like how disappointed he was in her. And he didn't want to have to be as firm as he was, but he was like, I want to like you. You have a kindness inside of you, but you're not showing it to anybody. And this girl was really hurt by that feedback. She cried. And then a terrible accident happens to the teacher. And all the kids feel at fault for the accident. It's kind of like each one can see their own role in how it ended up happening.
So it happened in school.
It happened in school. Yeah, during like something that they convinced him to be a part of outside. So they all feel at fault and they all go through such growth as they're trying to process this injury to their teacher, as they're like thinking about the things that they might have done that were wrong and how they've excluded other people. And it was really incredible to see the hurts that they had and how they worked through that. Another thing that the teacher did was that he had the kids, before the injury, he had the kids integrate into a developmentally disabled classroom and like reach out to the kids, give them supports, learn about them and their disorders and things like that.
Oh, I love that.
It was very sweet. He would send like 2 kids at a time to go join their classroom experience. And so, if you and I are arguing, but we go and we have to be a part of this, we're going to be nice to each other when we're around these kids. It kind of like does something to our relationship, and it does something to just like their perception of life and advantages and disadvantages and everything.
That's beautiful.
It really was. And like the growth that they had towards the end of the book with integrating these kids into their own classroom was really sweet.
Sounds like you really got into this book.
I did. Like this is a book for 5th graders, and yet here I was reading it. I started reading it day 1. Day 2, I got to maybe like page 99 by the time my son was going to bed. And I was intending to put it down and go back to my book once I got to that page. But something happened around that point, and I was like, I need to keep reading. So I read all night long, the rest of the 160 pages.
Nice.
To finish this book. Meanwhile, like, it wasn't my choice of reading. This was my kid's choice of reading, but I couldn't put it down. I stayed up extra late.
Yeah.
To finish this book. And I had a lot of, like, just a lot of thought about the circumstances that the kids were in, and I would turn to my son and say, you know, I can kind of identify with this kid. I had experiences like this growing up, and I can understand why she's acting that way. And he was like, oh, Mom, I'm sorry you had that experience. It was really cute. So
I love him. He's so cute.
I think it's a great one that they were reading it in the classroom together. The teacher was reading aloud, and they were following along. It probably promoted some really good discussion in the classroom. So I'm really glad I read it. And if you guys have 5th graders, if you've, like I said, if you've been a kid yourself, you know, I think it's a good read. It was just good for the heart, you know.
So both of your kids liked it. Did they say why they liked it?
They didn't say why. I mean, they're young. I don't think they're good at expressing what they like about the books just yet, you know. My son typically likes a book that's silly, and this was not silly.
Right, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, so I think the vibe that I got was that they liked it. Yeah, he likes Stick Dog. The vibe I got was that they liked it because of it was like emotionally engaging, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like they could identify with it, you know? Because like there's the class clown and like the boys that are always getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And every class has those kids, you know? So I think they just...
It's like a slice of their world at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They could get it, you know?
Yeah, that's a good author that he was able to do that and draw all these kids in.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to reading the next 3 with my son. I do.
You do?
They're loaded on my Kindle, and we're finishing up Stick Cat right now, the last one of that series, and then we're going to be reading those 3 together. So I'm looking forward to reading that with him.
Were there illustrations?
No.
Cool, this book sounds great.
Yeah, I'm really happy I read it. Have you guys read any middle grade stuff and been surprisingly pleased by it? Let us know.
And if you're enjoying Book Buds, give us a thumbs up.
And share us with your friends.
And subscribe to our channel, Book Buds!
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe.
Wow, that was funny. I would be depressed with this hair. Is it backwards?
I think it's backwards.
Because I went with the tag. I put the tag in the back.
Yeah.
Is that not how wigs work? Shouldn't be the tag in the...
Oh no. What is this? That's not right.
We never wore this one before, have we?
See?
So I did it right the first time.
Yeah. You just flipped it funny.
Good?
No, it's not.
But I'm a depressed fat girl. I don't care about my appearance. This is how I walk to school in the morning.
Let me see you on camera. You look great.
Am I like an angry depressed or like a sad
just
depressed?
Sad depressed. You're very quiet, soft-spoken. I'm going to do all the talking. Don't you worry.
Okay, good.
I'm the obnoxious girl. You know I do that well.
Ooh.